Hey, listen to Wrestling on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Discord we got Josh.
Hey,
Taking a look at Survivor Series for 2025 this last weekend. Two big War Games matches and a couple of title matches. Let's talk about the one that I think connects the least, and that is the Stephanie Vaquer Women's World Championship title match that she had against Nikki Bella. Just over 12 minutes, and Stephanie is still the champion.
it was what it needed to be. It was an all right match. It was never going to be a barn burner, um, but it was what it had to be. It put over Stephanie, and uh, now we have to figure out who's going to be the next person to challenge her.
Yeah, I think there's obviously things from the other two matches about who could step up next, but if we're to focus specifically on this one, I agree with you. It ticked its boxes. It didn't do anything more. It didn't do anything less. It was bang on exactly what the checklist said that it needed to be. Uh, let's go with the women's War Games match. It was Team Rhea, AJ Lee, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley taking on Team Asuka, Becky Lynch, Lash Legend, Nia Jax, and the Kabuki Warriors. It was the faces walking out with a victory on the top.
Something we should have seen coming, but we didn't, um, because the faces have never lost on the main roster when it comes to the women's match. They are 4-0, largely because of Bianca Belair, but let's be honest, uh, the faces have never lost, and that's still true.
The streak's got to break sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it. The only piece that we had that we were saying maybe could screw over the faces would be a Charlotte or an Alexa turn, or somebody turning their back on the face team. Ultimately, all five members stood tall at the end, and that'll feed into the next match, which will feed into Raw. But all of the tag teams stayed in one piece out of this.
Yep.
In terms of both War Games matches, I wasn't a massive fan this year. I don't know if it was the format change of giving them entrances or what it was, but I don't know. Something didn't click with me this year with both of the War Games matches. I think I don't know. Maybe seeing people in a shark cage trying to determine who goes out next adds a bit of urgency or a bit of something to the match. My partner who was watching, it was their first War Games match that they've seen, and they were just sort of sitting there going like, "So it hasn't started yet. I sit here and I wait 20 minutes and then it starts." Uh, I don't know how much the match has in it. I think we talked last week about whether it should be used how it should be at the end of a feud where there is five people who hate five other people versus something that comes up every year and we kind of just tick a box by throwing people in it. And when it comes to the woman, it's quite often the same people that we're throwing into the match, or not. And maybe we've just seen 4 years of main roster War Games matches, and it needs a little bit of a rest. The format, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think we've said multiple times in the lead up to this match that this match in particular, the women's match, felt more like it could have been a traditional 5-on-5 match,
Mhm.
Survivor Series match, rather than the War Games match. And I think you just said exactly what was necessary about what we were saying, that felt that way. And yeah, the entrances was weird. I think one of my favorite memories for War Games was last year when Roman went to enter, but Punk stopped them and entered. Um, I think that was having the guys that don't necessarily trust each other inside the cage trying to figure out who goes next made it more interesting.
Yeah, I think too. Um, another War Games moment. I might be biased. Another favorite War Games moment of Dakota Kai turning on her team, which again was another, shark cage interaction. You wouldn't have got it the way you got it had there been entrances in between. And it's always weird to me when you see them like this. It makes me think of Jeff Hardy full on emoting on the stage before going down to the ring to help his brother. But logically, as soon as your bell, or your time is up, every single competitor should be full sprinting to the ring to get in as soon as possible. And you saw that a bit more with the shark cages when there's music playing and they're coming out with props. There's no urgency. It's like, especially when you're a person down in the ring and your people are being beat up, you should want to be in there. You want to get in there as fast as possible. But I digress. Obviously, that match did contain Alexa and Charlotte, our former women's tag champs. Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, top contenders. Lash Legend, Nia Jax, new tag team forming. Kabuki Warriors, the champions. So we were like, hey, we've got 4 strong tag teams or duos here. And now I'm going to talk about the Intercontinental Championship match, and I'm sure I'll be able to tie it all back together. It was John Cena's last pay-per-view / premium live event match ahead of his final match at Saturday Night Main Event. Diminik Mysterio came in. John Cena had that hometown buff when he got the title, and Dom had the hometown buff here, if the hometown buff is called Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, we expected some shenanigans. It was not going to be clean by anything. But having the returning Liv, which we didn't see on the radar at all. There was no indication of even possibility that she was returning. In fact, there were a lot of rumors saying she might be done permanently. So that was a neat moment. And we can finally finish the story that we started with Liv and the Judgment Day, and maybe finally get it to where we can move on from this action. There's also the fact that Liv never lost the women's championship. I think with the ending to Raw and the way she's domineering like the group, and like it's time to be the bad guys again. She put Raquel and Roxanne together to be the tag team so she can go after the women's championship. I think Roxanne Perez probably isn't going to like that, and I think that's going to play in the play if she actually does face Stephanie. But yeah, we knew Diminik was winning the title. It was just a matter of how.
Yeah, I think the Diminik winning part is like the least interesting part of this match. You're right. The whole episode of Raw pretty much was focused on Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day and sealing all of that up. You had Liv Morgan sort of doing her berating of all the Judgment Day, all the gold that they've lost while she was gone. She calls herself the glue that holds it together. Comes back firmly, heel, convincing the group to sort of harden up and get back out there for these titles, while Diminik Mysterio is still, the closest thing they have to a face, but also the closest attachment the Judgment Day has to Liv Morgan. I think she's sort of re-injected a little bit of life into the Judgment Day, which, do you want that? I don't know. They've been pretty rocky as of late in terms of a storyline. We talked about how Diminik Mysterio could just be better off going and doing his own thing, but this was the open chapter that you kind of had to go back to, finish writing, and then see how we move on from here. But yeah, obviously, women's tag titles. I already listed 4 teams that were in the War Games, but Raquel and Roxanne also holding them up to celebrate at the end of Raw. A 5th team who probably wants a shot at these titles. We got enough for a tournament. We got enough for any sort of match you want to throw together. But it might be the first time in a while that the women's tag team division's actually healthy, 5 solid teams.
And unrelated to that, let's make a point out that the first person to beat John Cena for a title at all was Carlito. The first person to beat him for a world title was Edge, and the last person to beat him for a championship is Dominic Mysterio. All members of the Judgment Day.
Yeah. There's a reason. The Judgment Day. No, I can't even try and tie that together, but it is a cool fact for sure. Um, and I think John Cena had a good match here too. We've talked about how this tail end of John Cena's retirement tour has been banger after banger. He put on a good match with Diminik. Obviously, the last couple of minutes we knew wasn't going to be, a clean showcase, but it did what it needed to do. Returned Liv, got the title back to Dom. Cena still got a good showing, puts over some young talent on his way out for his last pay-per-view match, and sets him up going into his final match this month. So good showing all around. I'm going to jump into our entrance theme. We're going to leave the men's War Games match and the fallout until after on the other side of the song, just because the song this week is our Intercontinental Champion Diminik Mysterio's, and it's playing for you right about now. And you're back to listening on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Men's War Games match. We knew on the face side CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and the Usos. 3 of the top guys, alongside the best tag team around, going up against The Vision, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed. Their new buddy, Logan Paul. Paul Heyman's best buddy, Brock Lesnar. And a still suspended Drew McIntyre.
It was an interesting match. It went 40 minutes, so definitely one of those cases where it's like the stipulation made it a much longer match than it really needed to be. But it was definitely the better of the two War Games matches as well, though it had its moments of issues too. I think one of the biggest issues I had was like when you had everybody laid out, but you had Jay on top of the cage yeeting rather than trying to do further damage, or basically we knew he was stalling until Brock Lesnar came out. And it just was issues. I think there's a lot to say here, but it's like, honestly, the right team won. We just didn't think they were going to win.
Yeah, they had the odds stacked up against them with Punk, Rhodes, and Reigns on the other side, but yeah, it was the correct team. It made a whole lot of sense, and I think the most interesting part of this match was what happened afterwards, which is Roman Reigns, trying to help up his team. There's a cool shot where he's sitting in between the rings. One of the rings has his family, and one of the rings has the 2 champions, and then he goes to, help up Punk, and Punk accepts it fine. And then he goes to help up Cody, and Cody's like, I ain't taking your help. And sort of, I guess, gives us a little bit of character development between those two. We already thought CM Punk, he's tied in with the Vision, probably would have been doing stuff with Seth, but now might be doing stuff with Breakker, Reed, and Paul over that way, maybe Lesnar. Looks like Reigns might be doing something with Rhodes. And for the Jey Uso stuff, I don't know if it's meant to be tied together, but I'm going to tie it together. His mid-match yeeting, where that's kind of what got him over. That's what got the fans behind him. He does it to his detriment, where he could be getting an advantage to the match. Raw comes along, and LA Knight is able to take him out in the Last Time Is Now tournament. It's and then he gets pissed, he gets mad, he starts, destroying the Prime Station and having a bit of a tantrum. I think there might be a bit of a disconnect where he's not doing his best because he's too busy playing with the crowd, maybe. And maybe
Yeah.
that's how they're going to try and tie it all together. He needs to serious up, and we'd been predicting a bit of a Roman-like turn with him. Maybe that is the direction we're going to be going.
It's very possible. It's reaching a boiling point. Um, I honestly think there may be a Jay versus Roman match in the near future, in which Roman is trying to maybe pull him back from the ledge, um, and maybe that leads to like Jay just completely losing. But yeah, I think it was something that you said with the him helping Punk up and getting like acknowledgement from Punk. Um, but and then telling Rhodes that he won't team with him ever again. Um, and I think there was also something that during the match, Cody attacked. There's only two people in the match for both sides, and they just laid out the two bad guys. But he hits they Punk and Cody back into each other, and Cody hits him.
Mm. There's definitely something there. What direction they end up going in? We are in WrestleMania season. Rumble's around the corner. It felt like when you had a War Games match, there was this many talents and this many high up the card talents that some combination of these 10 men will probably be the two championship matches, if not a third featured match as well at WrestleMania. I guess we're getting the hints towards exactly what combinations that's going to be. We talked about for weeks leading up to the War Games, we don't know what combination will be in the War Games. Now we don't know what combinations we're going to end up seeing at WrestleMania. Who's going to use the Rumble, who's going to use the Chamber, and just wait for those final pieces to fall into place.
Also, hey, honestly, we should have seen it coming with the fact that it's Paul Heyman. We should have seen that he had a plan B or plan C, or I guess in this case, maybe a plan D, with the mysterious wrestler that attacked. Um, Now the theories are like running wild about who it was. Most of the internet thinks it was Austin Theory, which I'd be fine with. I want to see Theory like uh, be elevated again. But I saw something that made me stop and go, that could be cool. I saw some people thinking it might be Montez Ford.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it. I also wouldn't if the person who was actually under the black costume on the weekend is not physically the person who is going to be credited with it later on. I could see that as well, but in terms of where the storyline is going, I agree. Paul Heyman seems to have another buddy up his sleeve. He's already got Braun Bronson and Paul. A Theory or a Montez or another talent there definitely makes sense. How will that factor into Rumble? How will that factor into WrestleMania? I can't tell you. But something that we thought might happen at the Rumble, I think it was your prediction. I fully supported it. A Braun Breaker win leading up to Breaker versus Punk for the title. Instead, the Vision just kind of say, "Hey, Braun Breaker is number one contender because he pinned Punk in War Games." Makes sense. And
Yeah,
the match is getting set up for I think early next year instead.
yeah. The first Raw of the year. Um, wouldn't be the first time though for somebody to have a match for a world title, lose it, then win the Rumble, and then win the title.
Jey Uso
That's
literally
exactly
last
what
year.
we did last year. Um, so I there is a like 60-40% chance that the title changes hands on the first Raw.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's probably also a strong chance that maybe somebody gets involved to counter the Vision. Maybe, maybe Roman gets involved, and
Yeah.
and that allows Punk to retain, but gives Breaker the reason to ball out in the Rumble and win it and get another shot at him at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I don't want to see what I'm about to suggest, mainly because I don't want Lesnar or Reigns winning the Rumble if they're the two going for the titles. But I could also see Braun Breaker putting on a competitive match next year, but ultimately not coming out with the win. And Paul Heyman maybe loses a little bit of faith in him and sends in, his stronger soldier, Brock Lesnar, to set that one up for WrestleMania. You get Lesnar Punk instead. And that's what kind of annoys Breaker and maybe splits him off and sends him to Stardom, and then you do your Breaker Lesnar feud and have Breaker come out on top of that and then go claim the title. Could be something. We don't know how Brock Lesnar is going to feature into the Vision plan going forward, but he's always orbiting Heyman, and it is Heyman's group.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see him or Reigns win the Rumble. So...
Yeah.
I don't want to see what I see.
Lesnar win because it'll be his third win. I would be fine with Roman winning it on a lesser scale, just because it would be his second win, and it could be something that could set up Cody Roman 3 at WrestleMania. I wouldn't want to see it. As I said, for a while I want Braun to win it if you can't win the title on the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
But of those two options, I'd rather have Roman as the option.
That is fair enough. And while I talked about how LA Knight was able to overcome Jey Uso on Raw to head to the finals for the Last Time Is Now tournament, on the other side of the bracket, it was Gunther and Solo Sikoa. The outcome that we expected, but the match went on. It was not a quick squish. Solo had his own, and it was pretty good.
Solo's a lot better than people give him credit for in the ring. And I think he has some amazing personality, too. Some great comedic chops. It's just a case where it's like, he ran into a buzzsaw known as Gunther, and he, in no way was he ever going to beat him. In fact, it still surprises me to this point that they set it up to be Sikoa versus Gunther in this match as even a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think injuries might have had something to do with that, to be honest.
Yeah, entirely possible.
Because I suspect that maybe this match could have been Gunther versus Sheamus. Fortunately,
that is my preference.
Yeah. But Sikoa, I think, is somebody who, if you give him a chance, I think he could run with the ball. It's just a matter of finding the right way to use him. But
yeah,
it is what it is. And our hopes now on an unexpected final match now lies on the LA Knight. Can the Megastar stop the ring general?
I've got up at least the Wikipedia page for the tournament, and I'm assuming these times are accurate. And if we're looking at the longest match of the tournament, it was the Gunther solo match at 19 minutes. The second longest, Gunther Carmelo Hayes at 17:40. The third longest, Gunther Javon Evans at 15 minutes. All three of Gunther's matches have been the longest of the tournament, all going over 15 minutes. Which is interesting for the guy that everybody expected to win. Expected to just walk his way through this tournament, come out with the victory, go on to beat up John Cena, and ultimately stand tall at the end of the year. He's, giving good time and good focus to guys like Javon, Carmelo, Solo, people who, either need a bit of shine or are on the come up. And it's good to see, even though it may just be a by-the-numbers tournament, that they're still getting spotlight against Gunther. He's not just, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute on his way to the end.
I'm looking at the tournament now, and just what I said about being Sheamus versus uh, Gunther. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Sheamus was in the other bracket.
They could have been shaken up. We don't know.
It probably would have been Penta if he didn't get hurt. It
Well, that
probably
is
would have been Penta Gunther.
okay. Well, that's all we got time for this week. When we come back next week, we can talk about that grand final and probably about the fact that Gunther won it, but we don't know just yet. That is all the time we've had. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up, and we will see you next week.